The One Who Stayed. Chapter 1, The Goodbye. Yorkshire, England, September 1939. The fog that morning rolled in low across the hills, swallowing the outlines of stone cottages and hedgerows, as if the world itself wanted to hide. At the small village train station, the platform was quiet, but for the shuffle of boots and the occasional murmur of farewell. The war had begun just weeks ago, and already sons and brothers were leaving. Thomas stood with his suitcase in one hand, the other curled tightly around Eliza's fingers. She had always been calm, always the composed one, the teacher, the quiet soul with eyes like early autumn skies. But today her hands trembled. "I packed your scarf," she whispered. "It's in the side pocket, in case the French winters are cruel." Thomas forced a smile. "I'll be back before the snow falls." "Don't lie." He laughed under his breath. It wasn't a real laugh, not the way he used to laugh when they danced by the fire or shared bread by the riverbank. This was a laugh that trembled between courage and fear. "I'll write to you," he said. "You'd better." The train rumbled in from the south, loud and indifferent. It hissed and shrieked, drowning their silence in steam and iron. Around them, mothers cried and children waved paper flags. But Thomas only saw Eliza. Her lips parted, but the words didn't come. So instead, she reached into her coat and pulled out a square of white cloth, soft and embroidered at the edges. "My grandmother made this," she said, pressing it into his palm, "for her husband when he went to war, and then my mother gave it to mine." He held it as if it were glass. "You'll bring it back to me?" she asked. "I swear." The whistle blew. Thomas leaned in, pressed his forehead to hers, and kissed her once, gently, as though memorizing the shape of her soul. Then he turned and boarded the train. From the window, he saw her standing there as the engine pulled away, smaller and smaller, a pale blue figure wrapped in grief and fog. He would carry her with him into the fire. Chapter 2, Letters from the Front. Winter came early that year. By November, the Yorkshire winds had already stripped the last of the autumn leaves, and frost whispered along the windows of the little cottage where Eliza lived alone. Each morning before school, she walked down to the post office, boots crunching the frost-covered path, fingers cold with hope. And most days, there was a letter. The first one arrived just 2 weeks after Thomas left. "Dearest Eliza, we arrived safely in Dover and boarded the transport across the Channel. I've never seen so much sea, nor felt so seasick. France is colder than I imagined, and the tents are more canvas than walls, but I keep warm thinking of you. They've cut my hair short. I look like a scarecrow, but you'd laugh, I think. You always did. Tell the village children I miss their noise. I miss your voice most of all. Yours, always, T." After that, the letters came often. Short, hurried, written under candlelight in trenches or from bunks where boots never came off. "There was shelling last night. We slept with our helmets on. I dreamt of you. I found a leaf today, golden like the ones near the riverbank. I kept it in my pocket until it crumbled. Like everything here. I hate the sound of bombs, but worse is the silence after." She always wrote back, on cream paper with pressed violets. She ended every letter the same way. "Come home to me. I believe in you." In July 1940, a letter came that was different. "They moved us to the front line today. We march at dawn. If anything happens, remember me, not as a soldier, but as the boy who kissed you by the river. I love you, Eliza. Always, T." And then silence. Chapter 3, Bad News from the Other Side. Weeks passed. No letters came. One rainy morning, a knock came at her door. It was James Porter, a former student, now home in uniform, his arm in a sling. He stood on the doorstep, hat in hand, eyes downcast. "Miss Eliza," he said, voice hoarse. "I was with him, Thomas." Her heart stopped. "He saved me," James said. "Pulled me out when the shell hit. But then, I didn't see him again. They say he's missing." Presumed. He didn't say it. Eliza sat in silence after he left, staring at the untouched tea on the table. Outside, the rain fell like grief. But she never wore black. She didn't attend any memorial. Because in her heart, he wasn't gone. Not yet. Chapter 4, The Wounded Return. He woke in a field hospital with fire in his bones and a strange weight in his chest. When he tried to move, he screamed. He looked down. His leg was gone. The days that followed were a blur of morphine and stitched silence. Then came the letter, discharged. Unfit for duty. He could have gone home, but what would she see? A limping stranger? A broken man? He couldn't bear it. Instead, he returned to Yorkshire under another name. Found work as a caretaker at an old estate outside the village. And from a distance, he watched her. She hadn't married. She still walked the same path to school. Some nights, he stood by the riverbank, the same place where he first kissed her, and waited until the cold sent him home. Chapter 5, The Woman Who Waited. Years passed. Seasons came and went. The war ended and soldiers returned to warm embraces and quiet grief. But Thomas did not. Eliza remained in the village, her heart locked in a rhythm that refused to forget. She continued teaching at the same small schoolhouse, the chalk dust and laughter of children becoming her daily hymns. She never married. The townsfolk spoke of her with gentle respect. Miss Eliza, the loyal one. Yet few knew the depth of her solitude. At night, she sat in her small sitting room, beneath the same lace curtains, unfolding old letters to read them again as if they might change. Every year, on the anniversary of Thomas's departure, she went to the train station in her best blue coat, with a small posy of violets tucked into her hand. She would sit on the same wooden bench, looking out toward the empty tracks, waiting until the sun dipped low, and then quietly walk home. From a distance, Thomas watched. Always from behind the hedges, or across the street, leaning heavily on his cane. He watched her age with grace. He saw the silver streaks thread through her hair, the slower pace of her step. But the poise, the unwavering patience in her eyes, never changed. One crisp morning, he saw her sit at the bench with something in her lap. It was the handkerchief, still folded, still waiting. And Thomas, hidden behind the low stone wall, clutched his cane until his knuckles turned white. Chapter 6. Two shadows on the same street. Autumn again. The leaves along the cobbled paths of the village rustled beneath cautious feet. Life moved slower now. The war had ended long ago, and time had softened even the loudest griefs. But for Thomas, one sorrow remained sharp. He walked with a heavy gait, his wooden leg hidden beneath tailored trousers. Every step was measured, each movement a quiet struggle he never voiced. That day, he sat on a park bench near the old war memorial, coat buttoned high against the chill. In his hands, a book he did not read. Eliza walked by. She paused, just a few feet away. Her gaze lingered. "Excuse me," she said, her voice soft but clear. "Have we met?" Thomas looked up. Her eyes, they were older, yes, but still carried the weight of quiet knowing. He swallowed hard, then smiled gently and shook his head. "No, ma'am, but thank you for asking." She smiled back, polite, reserved, and walked on. He watched her go, his eyes misted. The ache in his chest had little to do with age. Behind her, leaves stirred in the wind, and he whispered to no one, "You knew, I saw it in your eyes." A letter to the past. That night, he sat at his desk under dim lamplight, the same hand trembling that once held rifles and field bandages. With slow strokes, he wrote, "Eliza, my name is Thomas. I never stopped loving you. I was a coward. I could not face you with half a body and a heart full of shame. But I watched you wait. I saw the scarf, the handkerchief, the years you gave to memory. I wanted to return to you whole. I failed. But I never stopped watching. I never stopped hoping. If there is still a place for me, I will be at the station bench tomorrow at noon. If you don't come, I will understand. Yours, always, T." He folded the letter carefully, slid it into an unmarked envelope, and walked beneath the pale moonlight to her cottage. He stood at her mailbox for a long time before sliding it in. Then he walked away, to wait, to hope, to risk everything once more. Chapter 8. Love was never late. She was already there when he arrived. The same bench, the same scarf. Her hands trembled, but she didn't look surprised. He sat beside her, slowly. Neither spoke for a long time. Finally, he said, "I thought I was too late." She looked at him, tears in her eyes. "You weren't." He pulled the old handkerchief from his coat pocket, worn thin by time. "You brought it back," she whispered. He nodded, and in the soft, golden light of a setting sun, they sat, two old souls, finally whole again. Because some love does not fade, it simply waits.